There are 28 days to go until the presidential election, and the race between President Obama and Governor Romney remains one of the most divisive and competitive campaigns in recent history. There have been plenty of gaffes, negative campaigning, and personal attacks throughout the election, from the Obama campaign attacking Governor Romney on Bain Capital to Governor Romney's comments on the 47%, and the Romney campaign's consistent attacks on President Obama's first-term performance. President Obama has a slight lead coming out of the conventions, but the first presidential debate allowed Governor Romney to tighten the polls. Where will the race head in the final 4 weeks? That and more on Party Lines, right now.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
This is our generation's Sputnik moment.
Mr. Gorbachev, open this gate.
Polling numbers remain fairly consistent throughout the summer, with President Obama receiving a slight bounce from the Democratic National Convention and Governor Romney now closing down that lead with his performance in the first debate. To talk about this and more, we're joined by David Uberti, a former Newsday intern on Long Island, and Ariel Rothfield, a Fox News campus intern. Both have also done some national politics work in Washington, D.C. Thanks to both of you for being on the show. And David, we're going to start with you. Polling is held pretty consistent throughout the summer. Obama did get a slight bump from the Democratic National Convention. Governor Romney did get a slight bump from the debates. But for the most part, it's been static. Why do you think it's been that way?
Well, we have to remember with polling that these take very momentary snapshots and provide a soda straw view of the presidential election. We've seen time and time again Romney getting a slight bump from having a Paul Ryan VP choice, Obama getting a bump from the Democratic National Convention, Romney taking a nosedive because of his 47% remark, and now taking a lead in the polls because of his debate performance. And while it is true that Romney has seized the energy of the conversation, we have to take these poll numbers with a little grain of salt because they are very volatile. So, there's still a month of election to be had, and we just have to sit tight and see what happens.
And Ariel, what do you think about the static nature of the polls?
I completely agree with Dave. However, I think right now it's more important as we inch closer to the election. I think Mitt Romney did an excellent job in the last debate, which is why you saw his bump in the polls. And I think it's his job right now to keep that going. We'll see that on Thursday with the VP debate. But I think right now, Mitt Romney has to stay ahead in the polls and continue that surge in order to be successful on election night.
And we talk mostly about national polling here, but really there aren't that many states that are actually in play in this election that will decide it. A couple of swing states will be very important. Ariel, we'll start with you. What states really stick out as the most important?
I think the most important states are Ohio and Florida. Florida has always been a toss-up state. We saw in the Bush v. Gore campaign that really played a role. But if you look at Ohio is very important. No Republican has won that state in years. And then you have Senator Portman from Ohio kind of endorsing Romney. And that's just going to be a very big state to fight for.
And David, do you agree that those are probably the most important states?
Yeah, I think Florida and Ohio are just, perennially with presidential politics are really important states. But then also this year you have states such as Colorado, with a very young population, which will make it a very, very big battleground. And then, obviously North Carolina.
All right, now switching gears a little bit, we talked a little bit about it, but the presidential debate last week. Ariel, we'll start with you. Consensus is that Governor Romney won that debate. What did he do that made him so successful?
He absolutely won the debate. He had multiple things he had to work on. His presence not seeming too high and mighty, so to speak. He had to relate to the middle class, and he did an excellent job. You saw in the debate, he kept bringing up middle class, throwing out numbers. We don't fact checkers are saying if they were accurate, but he sounded presidential. He sounded like he had a solid plan. He came prepared, whereas President Obama, not so much.
And she alluded to that a little bit there, Dave, but a lot of Democrats are very disappointed in President Obama's performance. What went wrong for him?
Well, first of all, you got to hand it to Mitt Romney. He had a very presidential performance, as Ariel said. There were some, oddities with those numbers, but in a stage like this, I think it's better to be a good liar than it is to be a bad performer, which is exactly what President Obama was. He seemed disinterested, he seemed unprepared, and he really missed a lot of opportunities to call out Mitt Romney on some of his policy proposals that seemed a little bit more moderate than they usually have been.
And do you think going forward, either of you can answer this, the fact that there are some questions as to some of the facts that Mitt Romney had, some of the positions he had, but President Obama, as you said, didn't really call him out on that in the debate. Does that hurt Mitt Romney going forward in the campaign at all?
I don't think so. I mean, it was President Obama's window of opportunity just to hit him at it, and he didn't. And you know what? The next two debates, that when they go head to head again, he may not have that opportunity again. It was a missed window, and it was lucky for Mitt Romney.
And so, David, what do you see as the impact of Mitt Romney's debate win going forward in the campaign?
Well, I mean, now he's just on the crest of a really high wave. He's got a lot of momentum on his side, and Obama missed a lot of opportunities. I mean, the whole 47% video that was still hanging in the media cycle, he missed on that. He missed on Romney's tax policy. He missed on his health care with pre-existing conditions policy. And I think with politics, we just have to remember that it's a lot like fouling in basketball. It works until somebody starts making free throws. And in the last debate, President Obama missed a lot of open free throws.
So moving forward in the campaign, obviously the vice presidential debate tomorrow night, and then two further debates, and obviously a lot of campaigning in the 4 weeks remaining. We'll start with you, Ariel. What changes do you think either of the campaigns need to make in maybe the message they're sending in the final 4 weeks?
Well, I think President Obama and Vice President Biden need to come prepared. They need to come showing an interest, that they're in it to win it. They can't be kind of a sleeping giant, so to speak. And you know what? Right now, I think President Obama's campaign is going to put pressure on Vice President Biden to kind of carry Obama back into the polls on top. So we'll see.
David, any changes you think either campaign needs to make going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point it's a lot more about Obama's performance than anything else. I mean, he had a lot of opportunities which he missed. But going forward, he's never been a really good salesman, as we saw with his passage of the healthcare law. But now he really has to sell his second term of presidency, and to do that, he has to not only attack Mitt Romney as far as some of his policy proposals go and their facts, but he also has to put a path forward for the next 4 years, as opposed to just looking back at the situation that was in late 2008.
And so we've alluded to it a little bit, but tomorrow night, vice presidential debate between Joe Biden and Paul Ryan. For both of you, what do you expect to see from this debate from each candidate, and what do you think the impact of it will be?
Well, I think Paul Ryan, it's his first time kind of debating since high school. I think that's what the Romney campaign said, or the Obama campaign, one of them. But he has to come out strong. It's his first, essentially, national presence in the main media, besides from being on Congress and with his controversial plans. So he has to come out knocking, whereas Biden is a strong debater, and he's going to come prepared to kind of help Obama in the polls.
Dave?
Mm-hmm. And Paul Ryan, he's seen as the future intellectually at least, of the Republican Party. He's very charismatic, he's good looking. We haven't seen so much of him in debates so far, but the mere fact that he has all of this policy experience in Washington, especially in regards to economic and debt issues, that's going to give him a very good line of attack. As far as Biden goes, I fully expect crazy Uncle Joe to come out swinging. The punches that Barack Obama pulled in his last debate, I fully expect Joe Biden to land tomorrow night. I mean, that includes 47%. That includes some of the policy proposals put forward last week. People forget that Joe Biden served in the United States Senate for more than 35 years, and he was also, the head of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. So he has a lot of foreign policy experience, something that Paul Ryan does not have. So I really expect him to try to hammer home a lot of points regarding the Romney-Ryan's ticket, lack of experience in those areas.
But the one thing I have to say we have to look out for are gaffes. Biden is notorious for making gaffes left and right, so that'll be another big factor that we'll have to look out for.
Right. Also important to keep in mind is who's moderating the debate. Last time we had a snooze performance by Jim Lehrer. This time around we have Martha Raddatz, who's ABC's chief foreign correspondent. That could tilt in Joe Biden's favor.
Absolutely. And a quick turnaround: Thursday night vice presidential debate, next Tuesday night the second presidential debate. It's a town hall forum, a little bit different than the first one. What, Ariel, do you think will be? Do you think Mitt Romney will continue to have a good performance like he did in the first one?
Well, I think this kind of forum is going to be a challenge for Mitt Romney, but the Romney campaign is hosting town hall meetings to kind of prepare for that. So again, we'll just have to wait and see, because so far in this campaign process, it's been full of surprises. No one can really predict.
David?
I mean, I think this is Obama's chance to come back right here and settle the entire first debate issue as it is. You know, Obama has very lofty rhetoric when he makes speeches, and that doesn't quite get across as well as other forms of rhetoric and debate formats. So he really has to tone that down, really get to his points quickly, because quite frankly, in the last debate, I was asleep by the middle of his opening statement.
Perfect, and that will do it for this week's edition of Party Lines. Thanks to both our panelists, Ariel Rothfield and David Uberti, for joining us. And I'm James Arkin. Thanks for watching.